These are Gen Z college kids, and according to Psychology Today, 73% of Generation Z report feeling loneliness. Do you ever get lonely? Yeah. I don't know how true that is, but I wanted to find out for myself. I've been seeing a lot of these videos show up on my homepage recently, and of course it got me thinking because, well, I admit I feel lonely a lot. I used to pride myself on this because I felt strong and independent, but I don't know, something tells me that excessive loneliness isn't exactly the healthiest for social animals. Well, I'd rather be alone than surrounded by fake ones. Yeah, I say that too, but just because you're socially awkward doesn't automatically mean you're better off alone. Now, I've actually been hearing about this before lockdown even happened, and my theory for this is because of those damn phones. I don't want to sound like an old head, but at some point you gotta stop and ask, why? Why are we all depressed now? Why am I living my life staring at a screen, watching other people live their life? Why do I fucking hate myself? And what can we do about it? Well, I don't know, but I have found something that works for me, which I'll share with you at the end. In my own pursuit of finding out why I always felt this way, I've learned to look within for answers, but I never really thought about how others would cope with it themselves. So I went to find out firsthand. Do you ever get lonely?
Good question.
Everyone does.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
I guess, yeah.
Like in terms of, in what way?
Just like in general, like you could be doing anything.
Sometimes.
How do you deal with it?
I don't.
You don't?
How are you supposed to deal with loneliness?
I try to be my own best friend sometimes. We are all pretty mean to ourselves, and that makes us feel alone, makes us feel down. But if you try to be your own best friend and talk to yourself the way that your best friend would, sometimes it helps.
Do you ever get lonely?
Yeah.
How do you usually deal with that?
I go to the gym or I study. That's a really good question, you know. Sometimes it's good to just talk to your parents, you know. Just stay close to family and stuff. And yeah, that's how I take care of being lonely.
Do something to distract yourself with. Just any hobby that you have. I don't know, it could be like gaming or going to the gym or something like that.
Watch some TV, listen to some music.
What do you do about it?
I don't know, I smoke.
So you just drown it out? Try to forget about it?
Yeah.
73% of Gen Z are lonely. How true do you think that is?
I think that's a pretty low number. I think everybody feels lonely, but I don't think it's limited to Gen Z. I think people in general are lonely. I think especially at this age, because we're all hustling and working hard, you know. You don't have that much time for a social life or a personal life, so you feel lonely quite often.
I mean, it could be true. Like, someone could be lonely and you wouldn't know it, even if they're like around a bunch of people.
Yeah.
So like, you could even have a boyfriend and be lonely.
Do you ever get like that?
No.
Don't think it's that high, but I don't think it's much lower either. I know quite a few people who do feel lonely from time to time. I don't feel like people are lonely all the time, but there's definitely moments in a couple times a day where I'm like, wow, okay.
Probably true. Because everyone's like on their phone and not like in the real world.
I think that's pretty true.
Why do you think that is?
You get lost in social media a lot.
I can't lie, no, but do you? Do you get lonely?
Yeah, sometimes. Like even when I'm with people.
I think it might be pretty true, especially during COVID time. I mean, now people are adapting, so I don't know if it's up to date still.
I feel like that's pretty honest. Yeah, I feel like that's pretty true.
Do you think technology has a role to play in that?
I would say 50-50 because obviously there's dating apps and like other social media where you can meet people, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're connecting with those people and you're meeting them like where you actually make connections, because you can still have like a bunch of online friends, you can still talk to a bunch of people online and you can still be lonely.
As much as it feels like you're talking to someone online, if you're like texting them, it's much different than actually like having a face-to-face interaction.
Well, yeah, I definitely think social media plays a huge impact. You know, you go on Instagram and you see all these couples and you see families and you see this and that, you know, like.
Yeah, 100%, because I feel like you go on like social media and you see like these people be happy and stuff. I feel like comparison is like the thief of joy, you know?
So even if I can text 20 people in a day, but I don't talk to anyone, I still feel like I'm alone. Just because like I haven't seen anyone physically that day.
For me, for example, I live alone here with my brother, my family's abroad, and I just see like videos of other families and men with their wives and whatever, and it's just like it hits a little bit. You know, back then you don't really see that as publicized as you do today, so.
Yeah, you can find a lot of people online, so I think people like stopped interacting in person.
Do you have social media? Do you like are you on it often?
I'm on it like every day.
How's your social life looking like?
It's all right. I play in a couple of club stuff. That helps a lot with just human interaction when I'm feeling lonely.
The only time I go is when I go to school. Like my screen time is like it's pretty bad. It's like 5-6 hours a day.
Do you have a social media?
Yeah.
How often are you on it?
TikTok pretty often.
Do you feel alone sometimes, like even when you're like at those events and whatnot?
Sometimes.
Do you ever feel lonely, like even when you're surrounded by people, like
Yeah, at
your
times, but I feel like that's due to other problems, really. I think it's always nice to have people around you, regardless.
So what do you suggest we can do, like moving forward? Smoking it out?
Yeah, I guess everyone can just, start smoking weed. If everyone smoked weed, it'd be a calmer world. Don't you agree?
So do drugs?
Go on TikTok, go online, make some friends, you got it.
Get people more involved, like physically, I guess. do more in-person things.
Okay.
Go out more rather than, don't play with your friends online, go hang out with them in person.
Do you think it would be the healthiest, like for everyone to do it like
You
that?
don't have to smoke. You can take edibles, oils.
Okay, so what's your biggest advice for someone that's like maybe feeling a little down bad right now?
If you're down bad, just, keep your head up.
Okay, this is a good one.
Okay.
So life is like a heartbeat. There's ups and downs, right?
Uh-huh.
But what happens when the heartbeat stops?
It flatlines?
You flatlines and you die. So just know that when you're down here, that it's gonna come up here, right? Because that's just how life is.
Go outside, go talk to someone, go to the gym, go study at the library. I bet someone else is feeling just as lonely as you are.
Everyone's gonna feel lonely at times, but I think you'll always make it through at the end.
As I wander around campus some more, I ran into 2 more people who gave me some pretty insightful answers. The last one surprised me. Do you ever feel lonely?
Rarely.
How do you usually deal with it?
Given that I rarely feel loneliness, it's more about what's inside than the outside. The more you develop a richer foundation on the inside and a greater understanding of what lies within, instead of seeking external validation.
Do you think social media has had played a role in this?
Absolutely. I'm not that active on social media because ironically, social media was supposed to connect us more, make it more convenient for people to reach out to each other. But it's not real. Like it gives you that illusion that it's real, and it also creates like choice paradox. You think you have all these people who are aware of your life or they're your friends, but the truth is that just makes you more confused as to who's really there and who isn't. It's not the 200 people who are seeing your story that are part of your life. It's those 5 people in that story who are part of your life. Even in like primitive times, people were more like involved in a community. We sort of like changed our ways about how we go living our lives and how we sort of approach community in general, and we would like talk to each other more. We would like go out more or like be vulnerable more, because I feel it has a lot to do with vulnerability.
Do you ever feel lonely?
Not really.
No?
No.
How do you why not?
I think because I always surround myself with people I enjoy talking to or being with, so there isn't really a chance for loneliness.
73% of Generation Z report feeling loneliness. How true do you think that is?
I think that's definitely true, and I think a lot of the people that I interact with, especially at Waterloo, report some like feelings of loneliness, but just not for myself personally.
So what's your main advice for someone like actually feeling lonely then?
I think my biggest advice for someone who's feeling lonely would just to, quite frankly, do something about it, right? Get yourself out there, meet new people, and I think there's always a solution to feeling alone.
As I talked to more and more students, and though it was only a small handful, I noticed most agreed technology has deepened this trend of loneliness. But despite that, we still rely on these tech for comfort, and it's not exactly something that'll disappear overnight. So as the next generation in line to run this society, what can we do about it so we don't end up offing it? Well, this guy pretty much summed up everything I was gonna say.
It's more about what's inside than the outside.
And even though I originally thought phones and modern technology were the root of our problems, I think maybe there's a bigger underlying problem. And that problem is ourself. Our lack of perspective, and our desire to be included. Our feelings of loneliness have always been there, but phones just amplify those feelings times 10. What we really need to do to tackle loneliness is to change our perspective on it. Because instead of feeling bad about being lonely and trying to get rid of it, maybe you're supposed to make peace with it. Life isn't meant to be good all the time, so maybe you're supposed to feel this way. What you can do is take this time to think about yourself. And if what you're feeling is really something you want to keep feeling moving forward, because maybe what you really lack is meaning, not through jobs or hobbies, but in yourself. You can't walk around forever pretending no one understands you, and that your situation is somehow only unique to you. Yeah, maybe the circumstances are, but how you feel and the obstacles you face, someone out there has probably felt the exact same as you, and all you ever needed to do was reach your hand out for help. Go outside!